are done, but one, this is very common misunderstanding. Quite funny actually too. Cows in India are worshipped. Cows in India are worshipped. Not only that, this kind of probably goes along with if you're a good Hindu, you'll be born as a cow. Has anyone heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
I've heard that actually several times. And not as a joke, people ask me, hey, is it true? They've asked that. So, yes, in India, cows are adored. Cows are given reverence. Cows are given respect. But not in the sense that people are worshipping a cow. Like, oh, this cow, holy cow, you know, right? So it's not quite like that. And let me kind of illustrate. If you were an alien race and you came to Earth one night and one night only, and maybe it was the night of the Super Bowl, and you descended to the Super Bowl, is right at the last moment, everyone's cheering, and then they hold up this golden football, and everyone's grown men are crying around. People are jumping up and touching the football. You might think that, wow, this civilization worships the golden football. It's really this golden, and it's part of the game, you know. In other words, and if you left what I'm saying is all you could do is really speculate, right? But you couldn't say that everyone in the football field is that crazy, right? Some people are like, hey, I'm a fan. Some people are fans, you know, they paint their face and they get all, right? They get crazy. They paint their whole body blue and then they end up in the back of a police paddy wagon. So there's different levels, right? So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, fanaticism can exist in any tradition, but it's not necessarily that this Eastern culture says to worship a cow. Basically, it's very simple. The cow gives milk, and they adore the cow as a giver of life, as a mother. And so, yeah, some Hindus will bow to the cow. Some Hindus will offer incense, decorate even a cow. It's basically a sign of appreciation. So it's not quite the same what's commonly seen. So number 2, this is a very, very common one. Actually, I should say not 2, but I should say 4. It's a countdown, right? So number 4, the caste system of India is a cruel system. The caste system of India is a cruel system. Well, the caste system, as it is today, it probably does bear a lot of abuse and cruelty. I mean, but the same could be said about even American government. American government stands for a lot of things, but sometimes people in power also abuse, right? So the caste system, this is a very common question when I'm speaking at universities. And it is a serious matter. Basically, the caste system, for those who may not know, it's kind of a social division. You have a pyramid, really. You have brahmanas or priestly class on top. It's a classic monarchy. And then you have monarchy, and then you have business class, and then you have laborers. So looking at this, any pyramid, naturally, like, what the heck, you know, somebody's up top, somebody's down there, there's bound to be abuse. Not necessarily. In the original idea of this caste system, it wasn't a caste system where you're born in this family or this system, or maybe a woman or a man, poor, rich. Now you're locked into this social, position forever, and you're restricted. It wasn't originally meant for that. It was originally meant to just divide people's labor, basically. Everyone has a different capacity to work. And it's actually very natural to, if somebody really wants to be a military person, and you make them learn, I don't know, how to wash poodles and, trim poodle. Maybe they don't like that. I don't know, maybe they do. But maybe that's not their nature. And in school, maybe they have to learn all this stuff. So the idea was one that even Plato and other Westerners agreed with, that there should be a natural division. And not only should be, by nature there just is. If you let people go, people are going to sort themselves into leadership like that. The only problem with that today is that the caste system, or this system, how it has been perverted is by the birthright. And this is the big problem with it, is this birthright. If I'm born to a Brahmana or a priestly class, then I'm in an aristocrat, or I'm in a better position socially. But how is it if a son of a doctor is born to a doctor, they're automatically a doctor? It doesn't make sense. So in other words, it annihilates people's natural expression to qualify themselves for different capacities. And so it's actually a very beautiful natural system, but yes, today it's a little perverted. But the system itself is not a cruel system. So number 3, this is very, what is the religion of India? Ask many people would say polytheism. There's many gods. You'll be surprised to know, although we can say, there's 33 million gods in the Hindu pantheon. Basically, if you look at the actual Vedic text or the sacred text, it doesn't really support this common understanding. Rather, a very simple phrase sums it up. Eka Brahma Dvitiya Nasti. Means that God, or the absolute truth, God is also defined as just the origin of life. Must be one. There must be a single source from which everything is emanating. Scientists also say that. Everything, the whole universe was at a single point, right? So this is basically a very universal understanding of the word God, or in religion, God is often acquainted with the act or the topmost ideal of something. So in this theism, actually, it's very broad in the sense that God is one, but the understanding of all these different figures that we see in Hinduism is that this universe is very large, and according to, we're all souls, and according to a soul's karma or birth, they may appear in a very high position or low position. High position means, yes, there's a Ganesh, there's these higher deities, higher beings, but really it doesn't really support this pantheistic assumption that many people make. Rather, on all levels, it points to focusing the mind on a single source and honoring all those manifestations of that source. So number 4, number 4, I'm sorry. What number? 2. We're going we're going down. So number 2 on the countdown is a very huge misunderstanding, very big assumption, and I think it goes along with kind of our very culture today. We're so technologically advanced. It's easy to assume that where we are now is the most advanced point in time. And it's a very big assumption that because we have technology, we are very advanced as a civilization. I would say this is, first of all, it's a fallacy of logic. The fallacy is of logic, the fallacy of antiquity. It's kind of like the reverse of that. If something's old, it must be true. When people argue in the vegetarianism debate whether you should eat meat or not, many people argue for meat. Well, we've always done it as cavemen, therefore, actually this is a fallacy of logic of antiquity. Because something's old, it must be better. This is the same logic. Because something's new, it must be more advanced. We very quickly forget that India developed inoculation, many examples, inoculation, vaccination basically.
Tooth cleaning.
What's
toothbrush?
Toothbrushes. They invented the zero system, which we use today as hundreds, thousands. They didn't have that in Roman numerals. You had to tack on a billion V's and one, right? So the number system, the first airplane model was described in the Vedas. I mean, it literally could go on and on. The distance of the planets from the sun are given in very close to modern estimation. The discussion of the atom, the discussion of the development of a fetus in a womb. I mean, literally, it goes on and on and on. The type of sciences that we today have inherited from ancient India. So this is a very big misunderstanding that it's old, therefore it's irrelevant. Let's move on to iPhone 5. This is super relevant. Let's spend our whole life in front of it. Oh, it's so relevant. Okay, so number 1. Okay, he came in late. He's excited. So number 1, the biggest myth that Americans hold about Hinduism is that Hinduism exists. And let me explain why. Hinduism is a very generic term. It's kind of like saying, hey, nice to meet you. You're in a different country. What's your name? Where are you from? I'm from America. Oh, you're one of those Americans, right? Everyone here voted for Obama, right? No, there's different parties. There's different people. So just because people are like part of a region, they don't all believe in the same thing. This is a huge misunderstanding. Hinduism, you won't even find the word in the ancient Sanskrit itself. You won't find the word Hindu. You find the Sindhu River, and many people who lived on the other side of that Sindhu River, whoever lived in that region called India, was a Hindu, right? So it's kind of a generic term. Really, Hinduism, if people ask me, what's the religion, what's the philosophy of India? I would say the best answer to give is that there's actually 6 religions under the name Hinduism, and those 6 different philosophies gave birth to many other branches. But definitely there's 6 beliefs, and each one is different. One says we're all God, everything's God. One says there's no God, nothing's God. So they're radically different. And so basically this term Hinduism, actually I'll end on this note because it'll sum it up. The sad thing about these things is that they're still being taught in the college today. I mean, these are big assumptions, and it's due to just not being educated, not knowing about it. And so we harbor these type of conceptions. So very much my message that I learned, whenever you learn something, it's good to learn for yourself, to see something for yourself, rather than what the stereotypes that people say, oh, this is that. So anyways, I hope I gave you something interesting to think about. Thank you for your attention. Haribol.